Hey guys, yes, I have some Thompson View very important updates for you. You know, I have been waiting for this launch for so long already. When the land was first acquired back in 2024, before all the stock ordered by the Strata Titles Board due to some owners objecting to the sale. This is almost close to 2/3 of a seller's stamp duty cycle already, bro, and we have still yet to launch. So today's update won't be music to your ears. But before I jump into that, I want to do a simple shout out to our Telegram community. I haven't talked about it ever except introducing it in our intro. So today, I'm just going to spend a couple of minutes talking about this. Firstly, I want to thank everyone who has joined us so far. We have come so far. As we speak, we're about close to 1,200 members strong. I want to talk a little bit about why I even created this in the first place. Now, about a year back, being a property-obsessed person like myself, I find it quite hard to find a platform where a group of people can come together to really engage in a very open-ended environment, like two-way traffic. Now, the only two places that I can think of is either Reddit or Hardware Zone. But these are still predominantly websites, and it can be quite hard to keep track on what's going on as it doesn't feel very live. You got what I mean? Getting to the website, then slowly reply seems quite static. So the idea of a community that you can regard it as kind of like a giant WhatsApp group chat where you have, of course, a lot of people hiding behind the anonymity in Telegram, you won't feel shy from asking good or even stupid questions. I mean, well, there's never any stupid questions, but in there, a lot of people just ask away. Now, along the way, there are bound to be arguments in opinions, which is no wrong. There are also plenty of scammers coming in to offer jobs, tips, and actually they pay quite well. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, got one occasion, I remember there was a whole long day about just one topic, how to dry your clothes. And that one kind of annoyed me a little bit because just put it in the dryer lor. I know the clothing won't be crispy, I get it, but better than nothing lah, huh? Anywho, the idea is to really come together as a group to see how different people values different things, and it's really the perfect spot for property enthusiasts to chat about anything under the sun about property-related matters. And of course, it allows me to be a bit more critical on things that we agents can't really go hard on about online. Unlike experts who doesn't hold a license, not because we don't have an unbiased opinion, but we cannot talk rubbish online. You need to understand that. So if you're someone looking for something like that is pretty darn active, come over. Just don't bring any racist or political agenda in it. Actually, I'm very surprised that I haven't kicked out any troublemaker here so far, but I can be very swift on it. You can have different opinions, but it shouldn't take away your manners. Okay, so anyway, here's the QR code, and I have pasted the link in description for those who are not so savvy. If you haven't joined us, I'll see you there. Now, I also like to spend some time talking about the war in the Middle East. I feel the need to, since I have like a ton of people asking me for my opinion, because in probably like 6 out of 10 viewings I conducted recently, I have like the younger generations viewing the house at one corner. Then the older generation uncle auntie will put me to one corner trying to like downplay the market, telling me all about their opinions about the war, how it will cause Singapore prices to tank, why should we be selling our house faster. Then I'm thinking, why come with you? Just wait a bit lor. Then when the price confirm drop, then come over lor. Because they talk to me as if I'm the owner and they're like trying to condition me. Uncle, auntie, I know what you're doing, and I also have an opinion about the Middle East situation, which I will cover in a short while. Anyway, back to it, Thompson View, because just a week back, UOL did a press release talking about their residential outlook for the year, what they have done for 2025 and what's in store for 2026. Now, in it, they have mentioned that the Thompson View launch will likely only take place around end 2026 or possibly even 2027. wow, that one is damn long. Originally, we were getting rumors that it could happen as early as Q2 2026, but with this official statement, it's almost certain to happen only at the end of the year at the earliest, which means that this has really been a long way for us Thompson View fans. And in my case, and in my previous video, it was this reason that I have decided I'm likely skipping getting one in my own name because the opportunity cost potentially lost for the wait is huge. And all this waiting also doesn't guarantee me a unit. That's the biggest drawback. I mean, we might still be on time to get one under my wife's name, but I think it's likely not meant to be. So let's see. Oh, and not to forget, the longer it takes for them to launch, I believe the price range is just going to get higher and higher in time to come, and it might gonna be quite expensive by the time it happens. So stay on to this video and I'll explain to you why the later the launch is, the more expensive it is going to be. Anyway, from the press release from UOL, I have also picked up something very, very interesting, and that's the launch of the residences at Marina Bay. Now, right on the top of the mall, we are all familiar with Marina Square. There's going to be like 700 odd units. I need to fact check that a bit. But what a location this is. I mean, I'm considered a millennial. Alongside Orchard Cineleisure, this is one of the usual hangout spots when I was younger. You have plenty of retail, F&B, and the old Golden Village that has since shifted out like many years ago. Until today, it's still a very nice place to bring my kids to. It's just one of those malls where you still feel somewhat connected to your past. And given how fast Singapore is progressing, everything is like so new and fast-paced. That's really something you want to hold dearly to, which is the fond memories back where the times were slower and simpler. So Marina Square is connected to many other prominent buildings in the area. One is Esplanade. Each time I remember we are done with our food, we always take the underpass where you know there's like a lot of hipster breakdancing. I'm not sure if they still hang out there or not, or like crossing the traffic light over to the Esplanade to just like chill over the seats along the bay just to like enjoy the ambience. And then end the night with supper at Gardens by the Bay. I haven't been there in quite some time, but is Gardens by the Bay still there? I hope it is, because the food was great in my times. Okay, my times, talking as well, I'm then old. But yeah, a lot of things has really changed in recent years. This place still makes me feel very young again. So yeah, you are connected to Suntec, Millennial Walk, Ritz-Carlton, Mandarin Oriental, Pan Pacific, South Beach, Esplanade, I think. And during F1, guess who gets the best view? NDP, guess who gets the best view? Fireworks countdown, guess who gets the best view? You hungry, you just go downstairs, you got like Hai Di Lao, you got food court, grocery, Kidstopia, you want to gamble, you just like walk across 10 minutes and you reach MBS. That's why this is going to be a very interesting one. It's really like a trophy asset kind of property. Will it make a lot of money more than other places? I don't think so. But man, if you're someone looking for a unique property that's nothing like this, this is it. Because if I print money, I'm buying this anytime to retire. So for those people looking for a retirement home, you might want to check this out. Okay, anyway, I digress. I'm straying a bit off topic here. So yes, Thompson View will likely launch only by year end or even possibly even next year. If that happens, that worries me quite some bit because along the way, you will see strong take-up rates for launches that are less superior, like Pinery, Tengah, River Modern already launched already like 90% odd sold out. Just everything will pale in comparison, and they are all easily gonna hit like 2,500 to 2,600 per square foot with the exception of Tengah. And given what has happened in the past 1 year as far as land cost is concerned, prices are really shooting up. And yes, I know there's an ongoing war in the Middle East that can be quite unfortunate. I'm not an economist, so I'll try to stay away from territories that I'm not as literate in. Obviously, Singapore won't be hit geographically. I mean, you understand what I'm trying to say, but economically, we are very vulnerable. It could hit us very hard, and that's a risk we cannot eliminate. We cannot act like we live in our own world, especially for the property market where we seem to kind of defy all logics for quite a while now. Realistically, at least for me, on surface level, a massive job loss will definitely pull the market back. But on the longer run, whatever cooling measures that the government has put in place for the past 15 years will give them the policies to ensure a soft landing if that happens. And where else in this world do we have a government that has the ability to adjust demand in such a manner? Very bad recession. Just relax Singaporean second property ABSD law. Even worse, then you just adjust foreigner ABSD law, problem solved. But will we get to that? Never say never, because the energy prices are also already rising. Now when that goes up, cost goes up almost indefinitely. You also got to look at the counter argument. If cost goes up, who usually bears that? Consumer. Will things become more and more expensive? Yes, it almost certainly does. The cost to build properties used to be like 50-60% of land costs. In the past 2 years, it is around like 68 to 72%. Now, if inflation kicks in because energy cost rises, this number is just gonna go up. So technically speaking, higher land costs, higher cost equates to higher price consumers has to pay, whether you like it or you don't, right? Whether you want to complain or you don't want. So what's the extreme spectrum of that? I noticed in recent years, a lot of expats, PRs and businesses are moving towards Dubai. Now the taxes there I know are much better, and with the war causing so much instability and worries, the money might flow out of the Middle East. And where might that go back to? Of course, it might come back to us. So if we handle this well, we might actually benefit from it like how we did from COVID. So all in all, it's really anyone's guess where this will pan out to. Whether is it going to be a short term, mid term or long term, 1 second is a few weeks, next second is a couple of months, I don't know. Because the war is real, and it's only right that we start assessing the potential fallout, even if we have been living in a bubble. However, among all the noises that we are getting at the moment, I will still try to work with what I can and to just look at facts. Since it's always about property-related matters that we talk about, facts about the market. Fact number 1, demand. For the longest time, for those who have worked with me for long, you know I've emphasized that the biggest corporate or push of this market is the HDB upgraders, and will continue to be the key driver of this market with plenty of HDBs that will MOP in the coming years, while government is still ramping up supply on the BTO front. Yes, I have covered this in many videos. A lot of you may say that the excessive supply of HDBs that will MOP in the coming years will push HDB prices down, but it doesn't take away the fact that the margins are still pretty big for these owners. Anyway, high ABSD has really forced buyers to purchase property primarily for their own use, one person, one property at most. And these upgraders are the ones buying for own use. Yes, you still have them speculating on it and rent in the meanwhile, but the idea is that you can only buy one in one name, or two in two names, or one in two names maximum. And I can tell you, there are plenty of people, and I mean plenty of them, who have benefited from the BTO system and the higher price in the private property market. Now, haters will say that it defeats the purpose of the BTOs, but the fact remains that only a handful of percentage of owners exit out of their flats after MOP, with the vast majority staying put. However, these people coming out are usually armed with the funds coming potentially from the sale of the house, which allows them to upgrade pretty much quite easily, assuming combined income allows you to do so. So I ask you this question, okay, you think hard, who actually provides this subsidized housing? Who provides these CPF grants? Then you'll know who is really supporting this entire real estate market. So with upgraders mainly buying properties for their own consumption, it is less exposed to macro factors, unless of course, as I mentioned, a massive loss of jobs, then people will start thinking twice about buying something and retreating into their shell. Otherwise, this demand should still continue to dominate the market in the years to come, whether you like it or you don't. Okay? Second-timers or people who have existing assets will find it really easy to upgrade into. But it is the first-timers or people buying their first properties will then find the entry level a much more challenging move to make, as the down payment usually is what's lacking, as they don't have the privilege of an asset to ride on. That's why you see increasing numbers of parents coming in to support their kids in buying their first property. And that's in part due to the liquidation of wealth that I noticed on the parents and also in the overheated equities and crypto market, where they also think it's best to kind of like diversify their risks because price is really very high to something more tangible, something like real estate. So this should also stay the same for now. Oh yes, before I forget also, I know that Singapore's fertility rate now is like damn bad. Right? It's splashed all over the news in the past 2-3 weeks. So to counter the low fertility and aging population, what's the government gonna do? These are not fake news, right? This you can check it out. They are planning to add up to 30,000 new citizens a year for the next 5 years, meaning you will potentially see a total of like maybe close to 150k new citizens by then. Okay, what does it mean? You know what does that mean? I don't need to spell it out. Okay. Now, anyway, fact number 2, which is rising land costs. This is undeniable. Now, land costs on its own gives you a look into the future. Okay, no guessing, no rumors.
No, banker tell me this, that, or like no, he say, she say kind of nonsense.
It is fact. And the recent land bid at Lentor, to me, is a very significant GLS exercise. Now, why is that? So, let me explain to you. Now, the land was acquired at 1,278 PSF PPR. For those of you who don't understand context, long story short, if you use a certain method of calculation in today's market, you should see it selling from 2,600 PSF all the way to as high as, I don't know, maybe 3,000 PSF. Now, this is shocking given Lentor Gardens plot that was stepped up by Kingsford last year, right, got sold at 920 PSF PPR. It's going to launch soon. That means that this bid is 38% higher, my friend. Again, an exaggeration in the rise in GLS for something that is almost side by side. Now, you may say,
maybe only one developer hitting it at this kind of price.
Sorry, even Kingsford bidded at 1,130 PSF PPR. 22% higher than their plot. And Frasier's also tabling over 1,200 PSF for this, signaling that at least more than one developer is confident that the area can command such a price in the future. Then you may think that Lentor might just be a one-off case. Fine, then Vela Bay. Although I know it's in the OCL, but we know it's nothing like the OCL. Is that another outlier? But how about the one at Bedok Rise at Tanah Merah? Also likely starting from 2,700 all the way to like 3,100 PSF. The Hougang integrated likely also like 2.5, 2.6 PSF onwards. So it seems that the stage is kind of set that starting from 2027, you will start to see OCL launches going from like 2,005 to 2,600 PSF onwards for something that is reasonably close to MRT. And it's no longer an outlier, okay? But a norm. And that's why this Lentor GLS is very significant in my opinion. And that, my friends, gives you a look into the future in a chaotic environment we are in now with absolutely no noise, because this is what developers have to sell for. When that happens, it will affect your resale property price. Okay, there's always a lagging factor to it. It's very easy to understand. Okay, if a new launch or land cost goes up, the benchmark goes up. Now, when the ceiling gets raised, the resale will play catch up. It doesn't go the other way. And this is one of the reasons why I feel that the longer it takes to launch Thompson View, the higher the price will be for it in time to come. And because it's such a perfect combo for the developers, they locked in the price about like 2 years ago, but due to the stop sale, they are allowed to hold it a bit much longer and get into the market where everything else has moved upwards. 2 years ago, when they bought it at 1,703 PSF PPR, I think, material costs and whatever costs were much lower. Developers' profit margins were also lesser. I was thinking it could like start from 2,300 PSF onwards possibly, but fast forward to now and whatever it is happening in the GRS market, if you are a developer, you think you will launch this at this price? Of course, I won't. Launching starting from 2,600 per square foot also don't look so expensive suddenly. However, being the value-hungry person I am, even though I'm emotionally attached to this Thompson View as a whole, if the numbers get into the way, unless I'm getting one for own use, it might not make logical financial sense because we got to be able to be objective about it enough, okay? And the longer it drags, the guide price will just keep going up and up and up because I don't think URL will do any charity. I'm pretty sure they will milk as much as they can. I mean, why not? If it's me, I'm gonna farm the shit out of this lah. So yes, and because of this, as per my previous video, I'm almost certainly not gonna be getting one in my own name. Price is gonna be higher. I'm not even guaranteeing myself a unit. Maybe if my wife exits in time, we'll just see lah. Remember, product can be very good, layouts can be very fantastic, but price will still determine if whatever you are buying is good or not. And because the current Middle East situation is something we cannot underestimate. And it's in these uncertain times, must we really spend more time and effort to cover your downside risk, okay? If you cover your downside risk, whatever happens in the short to mid-term will likely eventually go away. But on the longer term, whatever you buy will still decide your fate. Now, what is the right property? How do we identify them? You know the drill. That's my bread and butter, of course lah. If you are uncertain whether is it a resale, new launch, or even landed, just call me. However, if you are looking for like a commercial or industrial, just don't find me lah. I'm not a believer in it, so I don't spend any time researching on it whatsoever. There's other people more qualified. So my last word of advice to consumers out there, whether you are thinking of buying Thompson View or whatever it is, of course the Middle East situation, I know the war is in your heads. It is also in my head. But you know what's even deeper in my head? The high and rising land costs. And that's not going away. Whatever it is, it's been proven time and time again that as cliche as it might sound, the only best time to buy a property is yesterday. Now, buying property is no longer a short-term thing. Government has already made clear their position and they have positioned ourselves for the midterm. So if you have a need to buy something, just buy lah. Don't listen to your banker, your auntie, uncle, brother, sister, father, mother who is trying to time the market. Because who really knows? Even I myself also don't know, man. Right? Just don't anyhow pay and buy stupid stuff can already, no? Because even though we keep emphasizing that the best time to buy a property is yesterday, you buy a property yesterday or also cannot.